Welcome to Cultivated Live for Thursday, June 13th, 2024. My name is Jay Rosenthal. I am the co-founder of Cultivated Media. I am the host of Cultivated Live. And since we launched, our goal at Cultivated has been to be cannabis industry first, providing you with the most important, insightful, timely, and useful information. We do that in a number of ways. We do it through our daily newsletter at Cultivated Daily. You can find that at cultivated.news. We do that through this daily live stream at Cultivated Live, which streams through LinkedIn, YouTube, and today my Twitter or X account. So please follow us on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, follow me if you want on Twitter. I'm not that active there aside from this stream, but also importantly, get our newsletter at cultivated.news. On Thursdays, it's pretty good. I'm getting good at it, Krista.
Yeah.
On Thursdays, I am joined by Krista Raymer. She is the founder and CEO of Vetrina. Vetrina is the foremost consultancy and the cannabis retail space in North America. Krista, welcome.
Jay, I'm so glad to be here every Thursday.
I'm glad to have you here. I just posted on LinkedIn earlier this morning. It's like a weekly mini masterclass about cannabis retail with Krista. I believe that to be true. I invited folks to learn alongside me. And so we're going to get to it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Krista, it is summertime in the US and in Canada, and people like cannabis in the summertime. And over the past, I would say 6 months, you and I have connected about big, important dates in the cannabis calendar.
Yes.
The one at the beginning, I'm going to name them so far. Are you ready? Where we've seen lift. I'm using retail terms. Lifts and sales. Super Bowl Sunday was a big one in February.
Yes.
We obviously have 420. And now we have the summer, right? The unofficial start of summer. Memorial Day was a couple weeks ago. We've actually talked about that. And now we have the summer where people will presumably be outside, spending time with friends, and like to consume cannabis. You said just before we came on that you have some data about where and how people spend money on cannabis over the summer and previous years. When is it? Is it aside from all the time? When is it?
Okay, so I'm going to caveat this and say the team from Surfside helped to put this data together. They've actually dropped a report that is accessible, and maybe we can put the report in the comments.
Sure.
But what is important to note is that the summer, usually we see the biggest lift in overall cannabis sales, but Independence Day, 4th of July, Canada Day weekend are going to be your biggest week of the summer, usually. So from a performance perspective, Independence Day usually creates about a 19% lift in the business. But the value of Independence Day comes not necessarily on 4th of July, it comes in the week leading up to it. Now, this year, 4th of July is on a Thursday. Last year, it was on a Monday. So that will have some implications if we look for like for like data. But we are positioned to have a really good 4th of July this year with it being on a Thursday. And so it would create a lift in sales, basically the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, leading up to the Thursday.
Is it because July 4th is my anniversary?
I don't know, but that's the most American thing you've ever done.
I know. And my wife is Canadian, as you know, and so we got married at Independence Day in San Francisco, actually, and getting married at Independence Day, there's certainly irony in that, I think. But it is my 20th anniversary. Anybody paying attention? I am, yes, old enough to be married 20 years. And actually yesterday was my parents' anniversary. I did mention it on the show. So it's big anniversary, sort of month and a half for us here. And Krista, just a slight caveat to that. Of course, we're talking about July 4th, which is the U.S. Independence Day, but also July 1st is Canada Day, which comes on a Monday for the folks that follow us in Canada. Like, is there anything that they should be thinking about? Because you think about the buildup is also a lift because it's the weekend of Canada Day. Anything that strikes you as like they could be doing the week leading up other than maximizing that day?
Paying attention to the week leading up and thinking about the product and assortment that is accessible to the customers, not unlike maybe Super Bowl or the results that we saw from Super Bowl. These are going to be shareable products. People are spending time together. And so things like pre-roll packs, edible packs, beverages, we'll see a lift in those categories leading up to the holiday. For Canada Day, which is on the Monday, if you are going to be open, you will see an incredible drop off early in the day. So you could think about that for store hours. If you're in the US and it's 4th of July, same type of thing. We actually see sales completely slide off like mid-afternoon on those holidays. So it's really about optimizing kind of like the days leading up. For 4th of July, it's the third that was the most impactful last year, which was actually a Sunday, if I remember. Yes, Sunday. This year it will be a Wednesday. And so there are some kind of opportunities and maybe the way that people are taking that entire week as a holiday. And in Canada, this makes it a very long weekend, meaning that like it's a great long weekend for a lot of people. So 3 to 4 days leading up to the holiday are where you can create maximum value by making sure you have the right product and assortment. Make sure that it's like right out at the cash desk, meaning that it's easy and accessible for budtenders to see, keeps it top of mind for them, but also visual intrigue for the customer as they're cashing out for maybe something that they were intending to purchase. Can we inspire unintended purchasing is the biggest opportunity here.
And last week or a couple weeks ago, we talked about Memorial Day, and also the previous week after that, the next week after that, we talked about discounts and assessing discounts and did it actually help drive sales and evaluating, is it a 10 or 15% discount? Is it a 20, 25%? If you are in the business or you want to discount things to drive people into store, there are some lessons that you should always undertake. I know from you, because as I said, like this is my masterclass every week, like 10 or 15%, like you might as well go with 10 because the extra 5 on the 15 doesn't actually drive more. But like, and also like cutting your nose off to spite your face. I get that saying wrong, but like saying we're going to get 35% off, like even if you did huge volume, you may not get the profit you want. Like doing nothing may be better than doing that deep discount, right? I mean, I just want to think, like we talk about math a lot, like thinking about the math going into those long weekends is really important for a retailer. Yeah.
Yeah. You would have to drive incredible volume. If you're driving like a 20, 30, 40% off the whole store to even see the same level of profitability on the other side if you did nothing at all. And so that's like an assessment that we need to consider. It's not just gross revenue, but it looks like what is our net results and what did our gross profit dollars look like. When we are thinking about like a 4th of July or Canada Day, the week right after, we usually see a dip. And so it should also influence the way that we're doing discounts and promotions. The product that is like discounted or promoted shouldn't go on the week before 4th of July. You could drop that product the week after 4th of July. Give the customer a reason to come back into the store and use the the week of 4th of July or leading up to 4th of July as an opportunity to sell products maybe that the customer wasn't intending to purchase, but is great for your bottom line. And that is like a bit of a strategy around making sure that you're optimizing for when the customer is coming back into store. Any of these holidays, you have either the opportunity to get the customer to purchase what they typically would purchase and some for the holiday, or you get the customer to purchase and then come back for their regular purchasing cadence. So these holidays create an opportunity to create an additional transaction in a year if you time your discounts, promos effectively, if you have the right assortment in the store at the right time, and then you're using things like a loyalty program to disseminate that information and create touch points with the customer.
And be sure, if you do have a loyalty program or a way to communicate with customers, if there is increased traffic on the build up to July 4th or July 1st in Canada, get their information if you can, because it's helpful. That's what I learned.
It's so helpful. Yeah. Get an email. No, like it's a loyalty program is a little bit about creating loyalty for the customer. It's a lot about being able to create distribution points or communication moments with the customer. And these holidays provide that like key opportunity. You can create calls to action. You can create very specific segmentations for customers. So like what would happen if you segmented all the customers that purchased in a particular way over maybe Super Bowl and inspired them to purchase in the same way for 4th of July? They already told us that they're open to purchasing in that way. So like, what if we created a segment that understood that customer base?
Yeah. I want to zoom out a second because I was telling you, I was at Hall of Flowers last week here in Toronto, and part of the conversation I had with David Cote on my front porch was about, and he talked about it over the past couple of years at Hall of Flowers, but also when we talked to him, and he runs Jay Supply Co. and Northern Helm. He's the CEO of those two sort of retail brands, is about filling out his calendar for the year with promotions, communications, and brand partnerships. And like, I want to zoom out a little bit because we talk about these dates as like they're important and coming up, of course, but if you're new to it, like it's important to plan, 3, 6, 4 weeks ahead. That's great. But like if you zoom out and are planning for 2025 and look at all these key milestones, like you ought to be planning what you're going to do for this Memorial Day now, of course, or even before, but for next Memorial Day soon, right? Like you really want to get these calendars set so you actually know your whole game plan for the year, when you're going to see lifts, where the dates are. Is July 4th a Thursday or a Monday? Is Super Bowl Sunday a place that we could actually drive something in February? Like all of those things, I think it's important to zoom out and plan across a calendar. And do you have a calendar that I can use, Krista?
Oh, we have a calendar. No, you're totally right. Like things are shifting and changing. So I would be amiss is to say you cannot figure out like vendor partners and
Right.
exactly what the promo is going to be a year from now.
Right.
Like we have to stay relevant and topical. Things are changing within all of these environments. But where there is an opportunity is to identify and say, how do each of these weeks contribute to our overall revenue?
Right.
How do our months contribute to our overall revenue, for example? And so just calling out and being aware that we see customers purchase in a different way over the summer. I cannot tell you the number of retail environments that we'll review. And from basically June until September, they see an increase in the number of like one-time customers. And that's because customers are purchasing and creating different rituals in their behavior over summer months for a lot of North America. And so because of that, we should be thinking about what we're running, when we're running it, what we need in the store to be able to support that type of business change.
Do you know this person?
No, I know this person.
Catherine, of course, works for Vetrina, but she did say, this is going back to our previous part of the conversation, keep one of your killer promotions for a week of July 8th to entice customers back in. That's exactly your point. Like use these key points to drive repeat customers, maybe another customer to come back in, do an additional purchase over the summer, which would equal one throughout the year. Like it is really important to think about strategically how and why you're pushing demand and pulling demand between and among the holidays, I think.
Totally. Like all of these, you can create that lift for 4th of July, but you're also likely to create drop off the week after. And so you have to think about those when you're creating the format of your discounts or promotions.
Krista, as always, I do learn a ton when you come here, and then I take it and apply it to my life and figure out where and how I'm going to buy cannabis. And when I see a promotion that's too good to be true for Canada Day, I'm like, they should have listened to Krista, because I would have come in the next week to buy something that was on sale that I buy all the time. All of those things I do, as you know, I do bring it into my daily life. Anything else that you're watching across the industry as we wrap up today's show?
The biggest difference is like, and this is related to discounts as well, is thinking about gross margin as a percentage and gross margin dollars. Those two metrics can tell very different stories. And so taking a look at those as a first temperature check, who in the business is aware that those two are different and what do they look like?
Yeah. I think we posted something like that last week, and it got lots of engagement and interaction through all of our social channels, which is a good lead in and segue to follow us on YouTube. I'll put up our YouTube channel right here. Look, watch this.
You're getting very fancy.
Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on LinkedIn. If you want, follow me on Twitter. That's okay if you don't, but you absolutely have to get our newsletter at cultivated.news. Krista, as always, we appreciate you and appreciate having you on Thursday mornings, because I think I learn a ton, and I believe other people do too. And I'll be back here again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Krista, if you have time, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Okay, great. I will be here next Thursday.
Okay, not tomorrow though. Next week. That's okay. You don't have to come back tomorrow. Thank you, Krista from Vetrina. As always, I'll be back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and my x.com at JAY Rosenthal. It's so complicated, but if you're following me, you're watching right now. Thank you for tuning in. Krista, thank you again. We'll see you next Thursday.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jay.